If you bought a house recently, it's likely you got an unexpected notice in the mail from your school district or municipality.
As Money editor Jon Delano explains, it's called the Newcomer's Tax, and it's not the most pleasant way to be welcomed to the neighborhood.
Remember the welcome wagon or newcomers club or other ways communities used to welcome you to the neighborhood? Today, it's more likely you will get an unwelcome letter from your elected officials wanting to raise your property assessment. When Kurt Winsenreed bought his home in Baldwin, he got a nasty welcome letter from the Baldwin-Whitehall School Board.
The school district wanted to increase the assessment by roughly $130,000.
He's hardly alone. Brett Ballish just received a similar letter, in his case demanding a $54,000 hike in his assessment.
I was very surprised, yeah. I did not see this coming at all. Just doing the quick math, it's going to nearly double my taxes.
It's called the Newcomer's Tax because it's aimed at recent buyers of homes in a particular community. In Allegheny County, if the recent purchase price of the home is well above the last countywide assessment in 2012, the school district or municipality may ask the county to raise the assessed value to reflect the new purchase price.
The whole thing seems kind of dishonest in that they only seek out individuals who are purchasing a new home. So if you've been in the community for 20 or 30 years, they're not going to seek out to have your home reassessed.
It does seem unfair, and some school districts and communities have a reputation for being particularly unfriendly to newcomers, says Mike Suley, who once headed the county's property assessment office. In this particular situation, we're looking at the Baldwin-Whitehall School District.
They're aggressive.
They're aggressive?
Yes, they are.
Baldwin-Whitehall is not alone. Suley says last year the Pittsburgh School District filed 800 appeals to increase the assessments of new purchases of homes in the city. It's easy money for school districts and municipalities, says Suley.
They file an appeal. They win over 90% of these appeals. They go in, they show the sale price, and that's it. They win.
But not always at the amount they want. New at 6, I'll share some tips on what you can do if you've just bought or will soon buy a house in this area. Jon Delano, KDKA News.
Live from the KDKA Broadcast Center, this is KDKA-TV News at 6.
Today is a first alert weather day with rain falling and snow melting. And now all of that water could lead to flooding concerns for many in our area. Good evening and thank you for joining us at 6. I'm Kim Gable.
And I'm Christine Sorensen. Our meteorologists have been tracking this weather for a few days, which is why they declared today a first alert day. And for more on what we should expect throughout the evening, let's get a first check of the forecast with KDKA meteorologist Ray Petlin. Ray.
The big thing we need to remember about flooding concerns is oftentimes with flooding like we're expecting to see in spots over the next couple days, it's lagged behind. So once the rain stops, there's still going to be some areas working with flooding until we get into the weekend. And we have a good dose of rain coming in here right now. Some of the heaviest precipitation moving through spots up to the north where we have that flood watch that's in effect until tomorrow. And that's going to leave us with some flood warnings that are going to extend into the weekend, especially along the Allegheny River as you're coming out of Armstrong, out of Clarion, out of Westmoreland and into Allegheny counties. So down the Allegheny, we're going to have a few little issues with potential flooding. But right now we see the heaviest of the rain right around Newcastle, up into Venango County, out towards Oil City, out towards Franklin, and then another little batch as you start to get up towards Elk County. But you can see here, East Brady, Parker, we have these flood warnings, and they go until Saturday. So it's a little lag effect where the heaviest of the highest water makes its way through here a little later than the rain that's actually stopped a couple days beforehand. So that's going to be the case. The rain stops tonight, but the effects last into the weekend. Another thing we're dealing with are some pretty gusty winds that are going to come in with the cold front. That's why we have some wind advisories for spots like Indiana, Westmoreland, Greene, Fayette counties, and south and eastward from there. So that's where we're likely going to see some of the stronger winds developing. So more rain. more melting if you haven't melted it all off. That's going to occur this evening, and then we have a cold front coming in. That's going to bring some gusty winds. That's the second part of this system, and then we're going to have some flooding concerns lasting into the weekend, but we also have some sunshine and warmer temperatures showing back up in the forecast. We'll get to the good stuff, too, coming up.
A man is behind bars tonight following a deadly wrong-way hit-and-run crash on Interstate 70 in Washington County. Investigators believe the man was drinking before the accident happened. Amy Wattis joins us live with more. Amy.
Christine Leandre Woods is behind bars here at the Washington County Jail facing multiple charges, including homicide by vehicle while driving under the influence. Now, investigators say the woman he hit head-on later died at the hospital. Now, I spoke with one of her relatives over the phone. They tell me she leaves behind a husband and 2 teenage kids. The crash happened in the wee hours of the morning on Interstate 70 in South Strabane Township. The accident backed up traffic for hours. 2 vehicles, a mangled mess.
The damage was extensive to the vehicles, and at some point, vehicles did catch fire.
State police say 48-year-old Leandre Woods was driving his pickup truck the wrong way on 70 heading west in the eastbound lanes. 32-year-old Jocelyn Vith was driving her Jaguar east on 70 when they collided. Both are from 84. Investigators say Woods ran away after the vehicles crashed, but eventually turned himself in late this morning at the state police barracks in Washington.
During the interview, the troopers speaking to him could smell alcohol. Subsequently, there are multiple charges to include DUI.
During questioning, detectives say Woods' stories didn't match up. He first told investigators he fell asleep while driving home from a friend's house in Washington. Then, when he was asked what he was doing between midnight when he left his friend's house and the time of the crash at 2 in the morning, he said he was drinking at the Scapegoat Tavern in Washington. He told police he had 2 beers, then went on to say he was at the bar for 4 hours prior to leaving his friend's house. Meantime, state police say a witness tried to help Vith following the crash. He told investigators he saw Woods run from the scene. Another witness who drives for FedEx told me over Facebook he held Vith's hand when she was pulled from her car to try and comfort her.
At 2 in the morning, it would be a little bit daunting to see that along the road. So to have the wherewithal to turn around and try to help, that was pretty important.
Now, police tell us that Woods was convicted of DUI several times, once in Washington County, the other time in the state of Michigan. They also say his driver's license was suspended this past August. Reporting live from the Washington County Jail, Amy Wattis, KDKA News.
Amy, thank you. Fire caused extensive damage at a massive junkyard in Fayette County. You could see thick black smoke billowing into the sky from the Marsh Auto Salvage in Dawson. That fire burned for several hours and sent at least 1 firefighter to the hospital.
And Ross Godotti is in Dawson right now with the very latest details. Ross.
Yeah, the fire at this salvage yard was large, intense, and destructive, and making matters worse was the fact that firefighters had difficulty getting water to the fire. Firefighters from more than 24 companies in 2 counties battled this fire. Flames first being noticed about 11:30 in an area of Marsh Auto Salvage where crews were removing engines and transmissions. With various flammable materials, this fire took off